I've been in a relationship for a bit more than a year now with my boyfriend, and honestly, he is one of the sweetest, most loyal, and caring people I've ever met. In general, things between us have been good. We spend a lot of time together, and our day-to-day coexistence feels natural and organic. We've built routines, inside jokes, and little traditions that make me feel close to him. But lately, we've been going through a rough patch. It's nothing explosive or dramatic, but there's a tension lingering underneath, subtle cracks that we're both aware of, and I've been struggling with emotions I can't easily put into words. One of the main sources of pain right now isn't actually between us directly. It comes from outside, mostly from my family, and, in a way, from the way society looks at relationships and appearances. I'm experiencing something I can only describe as a painful mix of lookism and a subtle underlying misogyny from the people around me. It's not constant, but it's frequent enough that it's eating away at my confidence and sense of self-worth. When I first introduced my boyfriend to my family, I was excited but nervous. I wanted them to see the kind, compassionate person I see. But instead of feeling supported, I walked away feeling smaller. My mother, for example, often interrupted me whenever I was talking, redirecting the conversation toward him. She'd praise him openly and almost excessively while talking over me, as if what I had to say didn't matter as much. It was subtle at first, but it built up over time. Other family members behaved similarly, showering him with compliments, while I could almost feel their silent judgments directed at me. The worst sting came from my grandpa, who after meeting my boyfriend said something I'll probably never forget. "He seems good, but I'm not sure if you are good enough for him. You got these tattoos, which is a mentally ill thing to do." That hit me like a punch in the stomach. My tattoos are not offensive or extreme. There are only 2 of them, and they're professionally done, personal, and meaningful to me. And yes, I've had my battles with depression and post-traumatic struggles, but hearing those words, especially from someone in my own family, felt like a cruel dismissal of everything I've been through and everything I've overcome. It's not just my family, though. A couple of friends have also made comments like, "You have nothing to complain about," when I've tried to express that I've been struggling in the relationship or with my health. It makes me feel invisible, unheard, and invalidated, like my pain doesn't matter because from the outside, things look good enough. I don't want to compare myself with my boyfriend. I know that's not healthy and that there's no objective scale of who's better or worse in a relationship, but I can't deny that my mind keeps circling back to one obvious difference: our looks, especially our bodies. He's visibly athletic, very fit, and muscular. I, on the other hand, am a bit curvier, chubbier. I'm not obese, in fact, I'm actually quite strong, but my body doesn't show fitness the way his does. On top of that, I have health issues, including an autoimmune disease and chronic fatigue. Pair that with the demands of a stressful office job, and I've been struggling for months to shed just a few kilos. No matter how hard I try, progress is slow, and it leaves me exhausted, both physically and mentally. The problem is that when people see us together, they only see that surface-level difference. They don't see that I have a PhD, that I've built a stable life, that I've been living independently and managing my own apartment for years. They don't see how much effort I put into presenting myself, dressing well, staying clean and put together, showing up socially, even when I feel like collapsing inside. They don't see the battles I fight with my body and my mind just to stay afloat. I've worked so hard to get where I am, and yet, for so many people around me, it seems like all that matters is my appearance, my weight, my looks, and it hurts. It feels deeply unfair, especially because I've carried the weight of other people's judgments about my body for as long as I can remember. My family has shaped so much of my self-image, often in damaging ways. Since I was young, I've struggled with disordered eating and cycles of self-criticism, and these comments from family, friends, even strangers sometimes, are incredibly triggering. It's like being pushed back into an old, dark place I've spent years climbing out of. And then there's my boyfriend. He has never once entertained any of these toxic ideas. He doesn't treat me as less than. In fact, when I've opened up about how much my parents and guardians have let me down throughout my life, he's told me repeatedly how much it pains him to see me hurting. He tries to support me, to remind me of my worth, and I believe him when he says he cares deeply about me. But lately, we've also been navigating our own issues. For the past couple of months, we've been working through some difficulties, mostly around intimacy and communication. To his credit, he's acknowledged that a lot of these struggles stem from him. He's not defensive about it, and he genuinely wants to do better. I appreciate that. Still, working through these things has left me feeling emotionally raw and vulnerable, especially when combined with the outside pressure and comments I keep getting. The hardest part is that I feel like I have nowhere safe to vent. I can't open up to my family because they're part of the problem. I can't turn to certain friends because I'll get comments like, "You're lucky, he's too good for you, just be grateful." Those words feel like gaslighting. They invalidate my pain and make me resentful. Not of my boyfriend, but of the way people reduce me, my worth, and our entire relationship down to something as shallow as looks. And that resentment, that's what scares me most. I don't want it to infect what we have. I don't want the voices of my family and society to echo so loudly in my head that they drown out the truth of my relationship. I truly believe my boyfriend is a good, compassionate person. I see us growing together, building something meaningful. But right now, I feel helpless. I've already tried limiting interactions with my family, keeping my distance as much as possible, but their words still linger in my mind. The self-doubt they planted years ago still blooms when I least want it to. I want to overcome this, but I don't know how. I don't want my self-image issues, my family's toxicity, and society's obsession with appearances to sabotage what could be a genuinely healthy and loving relationship. I want to learn how to separate their judgments from my reality, but right now it feels like I'm fighting on too many fronts at once. Against my body, against my past, against my own thoughts, and against everyone else's expectations. Next story. I am really struggling with my family situation, and I feel stuck between two worlds right now. I'm an immigrant. My family moved to the US almost 2 decades ago, and while I've spent most of my life here, my parents still hold very conservative, traditional values from our home country. I respect where we come from and still value parts of my culture deeply, but the reality is that me and my siblings grew up far more Americanized than our parents. We've built our lives here. We think differently, we socialize differently, and we want different things for our futures. For the past year, my parents have been pushing extremely hard for me to get married, specifically through arranged marriage. They've started sending me profiles of men from group chats, extended family connections, or distant acquaintances, asking me to reach out and talk to them. They bring it up constantly, and it's becoming suffocating. I've tried to be respectful and patient when explaining my perspective, but the truth is, I've always known I didn't want to find a husband their way. I don't actually have an issue with marriage itself. I've always wanted to find someone I could share my life with, someone I could truly connect with. But for me, that connection has to come first. I want to choose a partner myself, to build a relationship based on mutual respect and love, not on a checklist someone else made. I understand my parents have their conditions and expectations, and I've tried really hard over the years to compromise where I can. But the truth is, our conditions often clash. And no matter how much I try to explain why I feel the way I do, it feels like my voice doesn't matter. Lately, they've been pressuring me more than ever because I'm not as busy as I used to be. Since I'm no longer drowning in school and work, they see this as the perfect time for me to finally settle down their way. But what makes it even harder is that I've been dating my boyfriend for a few months now, and I'm terrified of telling them about him. My boyfriend is from the same country as us, but he and his family come from a different cultural background. His family has been in the US since he was a kid, so they're much more open-minded and Americanized. His parents have been nothing but warm, kind, and welcoming to me, and I've never felt judged or pressured by them. My boyfriend himself has been an incredible partner. Thoughtful, patient, and genuinely caring. I love him deeply, and for the first time in my life, I can actually picture a future with someone. But here's where everything gets complicated. He doesn't fit my parents' ideal candidate checklist at all. He's not in the specific career field they want my future husband to be in, and when I finish my training, I'll probably end up earning more than him. To us, this isn't an issue. We see each other as equals, and our goals align perfectly. But to my parents, this would be an instant red flag. The thought of telling them about him terrifies me, because I know exactly what's coming. The anger, the guilt trips, the endless lectures about how I've lost my way. My parents, especially my dad, get extremely reactive whenever I bring up anything that goes against their expectations. Even something as small as me going out with friends past midnight on weekends has caused huge fights at home. I've tried talking to my mom calmly about this, but it's like I'm talking to a wall. Her stance is always the same. If he has any condition we don't like, you have to drop it immediately. There's no room for discussion, no room for my feelings. They're operating from a checklist: family background, career, social status, reputation, while I'm approaching love from my emotions and values. The threats have also become heavier recently, and they're wearing me down. They've said things like, "If you marry someone we don't approve of, we'll move in with you. We'll uproot the whole family and move closer to you. You've clearly lost your ways. You're destroying our family's reputation." It's so overwhelming. I don't understand why their reputation matters more than my happiness, why their social circle's approval is more important than the life I want to build for myself, and I just don't know how to communicate any of this to them in a way they'd actually understand. Right now, it feels like a lose-lose situation. If I go their way, I keep them, but I lose who I am, my voice, and the future I want. If I resist and choose my own path, I keep myself, but I risk losing my family's acceptance, maybe even my relationship with them altogether. I keep going in circles in my head. I want to be honest with them about my boyfriend, to tell them that I see him as a serious potential life partner, but I'm terrified of the backlash. I know if I bring him up now, it could spiral into a massive fight, with emotional manipulation and guilt piled on top, and I can't handle that right now. Has anyone else navigated something similar? How do you introduce your partner to traditional immigrant parents who have such rigid expectations? How do you set boundaries without completely breaking the relationship? Is there even a way to find middle ground when your parents measure love through reputation and checklists, but you measure it through connection and values? I feel like I'm carrying the weight of two worlds on my shoulders, and no matter what I choose, part of me is going to break.